All right. All right. So rapid fire, I get the great pleasure of being able to present about all the things that we talked about, released, and announced as part of HashiConf EU when it comes to Terraform. And that was roughly, I'm basically taking 6 different sessions and kind of breaking them all down into be about 10 minutes. So definitely highly recommend checking out those sessions. But I'll give you, some good guidance on where you should focus on. So first and foremost, let's start by taking a little bit of a step back and thinking about what Terraform is, at least from the HashiCorp perspective. And really, we take a look at Terraform in a 3-part vision. First being automation, being able to, provision your infrastructure as code for whatever services that you so choose. And being able to do that with a workflow that's going to be consistent not only for yourself in the way that you define your infrastructure, but also in the way that you share it amongst your other maybe team members or maybe the community at large. But also we want to make sure that that workflow is supporting some of those other integrations, such as security and compliance checks through either Sentinel and our policy as code framework, or some of the other really great tools that are out there in the community. As well as some other management tie-ins, think like CMDBs or ServiceNow type integrations. And then lastly, ecosystem, because really where would Terraform be without the ecosystem and really the support of both of our partners and the community at large. So taking a little bit of a different look at this. Cool. All right, so taking a little bit of a different look at this. Let's break this down into, numbers, because what we released at HashiConf was kind of a big deal. It was a milestone, and it took a lot of years to get to this point. So, when we look at our automation, kind of vision, we're able to support that with over 100 million open source downloads from the releases site. We have over 100,000 folks that are jumping on our Learn platform to go through those guided walkthroughs on Terraform usage. And then one of the really cool things that I think is extremely exciting is to see the support of the Terraform Associate certification process. There are 10,000 folks that have gone through that process and earned their certificates, which is fantastic. Then when we get into the workflow side, we're seeing over 120,000 Terraform Cloud users that are signing up and running more than 30,000 runs per day. And really that's all broken down to more than 1,200 different customers out there and part of that. Then on the ecosystem side, this is something that is rapidly changing on literally a daily basis. As part of the conference itself, we announced that we had 5,000 different modules that were out there. We're now over 6,000. And we have more than 1,000 different providers that are also out there alongside those modules in the Terraform registry. And we now have more than 100 different technology partners. So it's been really great to see how much not only the community has embraced Terraform, but also those partners as well. So getting into one of the huge announcements, something that a lot of folks didn't really think would ever come, and that's Terraform 1.0. And to really summarize, all the features and everything that's being released as part of Terraform 1.0, I'm going to steal a line from one of our senior engineers, Kristen Lambert, who's been doing several sessions on really kind of the path to getting to 1.0. And her line was essentially, what's new here? Nothing. And I'm not kidding. A lot of the things that HashiCorp does is, we take 1.0 releases very seriously. We want to bring a lot of different things to the way that we, own and maintain, these huge milestone releases, these X.0 releases. And so when it comes to Terraform 1.0, we're basically saying that we can support the scale of basically any organization that's out there, whether or not it's global 2000s to startups to individual users like myself who might just be using Terraform to stand up and run my own personal blog. But basically it's allowing practitioners, allowing them to choose the Terraform as their product, infrastructure as code product of choice to provision and manage their infrastructure. And they're able to do that knowing that it's going to have that stability that a 1.0 release from HashiCorp brings to the table, basically enabling and ensuring that stability to give consistency for those workflows. So it doesn't matter what type of workload teams are deploying, managing, and provisioning, it's going to be consistent and it's going to be stable. And then the last big piece is around usability. And this is really the ability to learn Terraform and the HashiCorp configuration language and kind of be able to pivot throughout the services and different providers that are out there. So it doesn't matter if you're creating and managing resources that are in a public cloud, an on-premises environment, or your private cloud, or a mix of all of those intertwined, you're going to have that same usability aspect. So once you learn it, you can apply it to several different areas. So the one thing that I do want to talk about when it comes to features available as part of 1.0 are things that you might not notice immediately when using 1.0, because they're going to be a whole lot more noticeable down the road as you upgrade down throughout the product lifecycle. And the first big one there is around upgrades. For those of you who have been around Terraform for a while and have gone through, maybe the 0.11 to 0.12 or 0.12 to 0.13, there have been some, trials and tribulations in how you upgrade from one Terraform version to the next. And with Terraform 1.0, we're making the announcement that there's going to be no required upgrade tools, there's going to be no code refactoring involved, or anything along those lines. Basically, if your code works with Terraform 1.0, it's going to work throughout the Terraform 1.x lifecycle. So it doesn't matter if it's 1.1 or 1.12, your workflows are going to continue working and being operational. And speaking of workflows, we're also making a claim, kind of placing a flag in the ground and saying that we're also supporting Terraform 1.0 for at least 18 or up to 18 months. So we're going to continue to investigate bugs, release features, and doing all sorts of support and maintenance for Terraform release as part of this, as part of the 1.0 announcement. All right, so let's jump and switch gears just a little bit to touch on Terraform Cloud, because we did make some massive improvements and announcements there as well. So first and foremost, if you don't know what Terraform Cloud is, it's basically infrastructure as code in a software as a service type offering that's managed by us at HashiCorp. So basically, we take your Terraform workflows and we put it in, and we kind of embrace the workflow itself in this SaaS-based offering, so that we can do things such as integrate remote operations, so that we can give you a consistent worker node every single time that you're running your Terraform configuration, plus a lot of those integrations into version control systems, into offering things like the private module registry, and even getting to the point with the Terraform Cloud business tier release to support some of those enterprise features such as audit quality logging, Terraform Cloud agents that you can run behind those, maybe network restricted or on-premises environments and still take advantage of Terraform Cloud, as well as single sign-on integration. But the big things here with regards to HashiConf EU announcements was the Workspace Overview page. This was a really great resource that's available as part of every workspace on Terraform Cloud, where you can view all the aspects of a workspace in one single location, meaning that even if you're not doing anything with a workspace, you can drop into it, you see this overview page so that you know exactly what Terraform version's running, the last time it ran, how many resources are being managed and provisioned. Down there towards the middle there, you can even see the outputs that were created as part of that. You can also gather metrics and all kinds of information, so that no longer do you really have to be the owner and maintainer of a workspace to understand what it's doing. Then we also have some improvements to the private module registry that's available as part of Terraform Cloud. And this is the capability of being able to take those public modules that are out there in the Terraform registry and include them as part of the private module registry, so that all the end users who are consuming the private module registry have a one-stop shop type situation for accessing and using modules within that organization. So that's a fantastic resource and really takes a lot of the administrative overhead away as well. Lastly, the one big announcement that we made is for Terraform Cloud is around run checks. This is basically a really fantastic way to add new integrations into the Terraform Cloud run. So basically what this does is it adds a new integration point in between the plan phase and the run phase so that you can do things like additional configuration scans of your repositories. You can do some additional cost analysis, maybe even some additional or more advanced approval notices. And I will say that this is available, or rather it is not yet available for public consumption, but it is going to be available in a beta. There's a URL that's down here at the bottom of the page that you can sign up to gain access to that. For all the other things that you want to know about as part of the Terraform related releases, we also have the Terraform 1.0 blog that's out there that covers all the announcements in a more elongated format. Then we have the upgrade guide, which is also really important because even as we're making some of these claims to how the upgrade process is going to go, you still need to get to Terraform 1.0 first in order to be able to take advantage of those. And then of course, huge recommendation to check out the HashiCorp Learn guides because those are continuously evolving and new guides are being added all the time. So with that, let me transition this over to Jared, who's going to take it away for the HCP portion of the conference announcements. Jared.
All right. Thank you so much, Kyle. Fantastic overview of all the wonderful things happening in Terraform land. And hopefully everybody can see my screen now. Feels like I asked that question a lot these days. Yep, thumbs up from Kyle. Perfect. So let's jump right into day two. Day two, as Brianna mentioned, is all about our cloud managed services. We'll talk a little bit about Terraform Cloud and also the HashiCorp Cloud Platform. That's where we'll spend the bulk of our time today. Okay, cool. So let's again pick up right where Kyle left off. And Terraform Cloud, Kyle mentioned all the exciting features coming to that cloud environment, all the nifty innovations coming from the community. This cloud service is wildly popular, over 120,000 users, 5,000 new users every month, 30,000 runs per day. So if you haven't taken a look at Terraform Cloud lately, it may be time for a second look based on some of those nifty features that Kyle mentioned and some of these usage statistics. So that was our first real cloud managed service. And we learned a ton of stuff, managing that as a platform, taking on that life cycle of management and burden from all of you. And we really kind of have a new vision for cloud services that builds on what we learned from Terraform Cloud. As many of you know today, you can run HashiCorp products on premises, on your favorite public cloud. You can run it kind of anywhere that you want. But we sat down and said, what if we really built our own platform that was the best place to run HashiCorp products and somehow make our products shine even brighter based on some type of world-class cloud platform environment on the infrastructure targets that matter. And that's really the big idea of HashiCorp Cloud Platform. And if you listen to Armand's keynote on day two, which you definitely should, he talks about this 1 + 1 = 3 type of scenario where you've got the goodness of HashiCorp Cloud products, and you've got HashiCorp, open source projects, running in a fantastic fashion that can add more value to our customers. And if you look at this best place to run HashiCorp products type of idea, it would probably have these three elements here on the slide. It'd be easy to use. It would be adhere to enterprise SLAs, give you all kinds of wonderful telemetry and observability about what's happening with the state of your console clusters, your vault clusters. And it would have a really slick identity integration. It would have the type of security that you come to expect from HashiCorp. And so really in the year that we've been building this, we prioritized a lot of investments in this area. And you can see that if you log into the platform today, cloud.hashicorp.com. We have a really slick user experience, point and click, get a cluster in just a few clicks. All kinds of great details about how your clusters are behaving. We're always trying to make this better with more auditability coming into the works, and more detailed billing and granular consumption details. That's a big priority for us. And we're working through SOC 1, SOC 2 type of audits. We also have Okta single sign-on integration that's connected up and ready to go. So there's a learn guide and tutorial for all that stuff. So these are all elements that we're prioritizing to make the HashiCorp Cloud Platform the best place to run our products. So with that being said, that's a little bit about the scaffolding of HCP, as we like to call it. Let's dig into the actual cloud managed services that we have running on the platform today. First up is Console. Super popular, service networking automation tool, service mesh, service discovery, service registry, all those type of scenarios. There's been a lot of interest in this being managed by HashiCorp, SREs. We launched this in February. There's a really a rich beta period as well. So we have some nice operational history with this already. We have a couple things that we prioritize, and they're listed here on the slide. We know that you all have different needs for your service mesh and service networking. So you have different kind of cluster sizes. And we have kind of a standard, approach to packaging that we're rolling out across the platform, a dev and test type of configuration, a really robust, production type of configuration. But you all have told us that you want more than that. You want a starter type of package for more entry-level type of production environments. And then a lot of you are running Console at some pretty remarkable scales. So you need some type of multi-region, intra-region type of availability to run it with the kind of assurances that you need at scale, so that plus SKU, as we call it, is something that's in the works. The starter SKU, that entry-level production SKU, will be live in the next couple of weeks, I believe. We also have been doing a lot of work with the AWS Transit Gateway. This is now live in the platform. Just really a neat pattern to simplify how you do networking. A single entry point for egress and ingress gives you some nice security benefits, as well as lower operational overhead to not have to fiddle with overly complicated networking. And then another roadmap item for us is this federation idea, which gets at this higher end production type of SKUs, giving you the availability to run Console clusters across different availability zones. So that'll be something that I think is of keen interest to those of you running Console at scale. Also, as Kyle mentioned, we have a lot of innovation happening in the open source world for all of our projects, and then these innovations make their way to the cloud managed services. So Console 1.10 is out there, generally available in the open source world. It's making its way to Console Enterprise, and it'll then make its way to HCP Console. And just one quick highlight about this that I'm really excited about is the transparent proxy feature that you see here on the left-hand side. So this will just make the service mesh pattern that much more accessible. That will give you less configuration toil to do if you're a developer or operator. So a faster way to get up and going with this type of pattern. That's what you'll really see, I think, shine in Console 1.10 as you start to kick the tires on it. The other two improvements that we have in the project, may not be super relevant to HCP Console, since we're managing that for you as a managed service. So, but still some neat stuff that's happening under the covers to give you more from the service mesh. Okay, so similar with Vault, let's take a step through that. This went GA on HCP in April. And we've had a ton of interest in, as you can imagine, Vault being an industry standard for how you do secrets management and advanced data protection in the cloud. So similar to Console, we have different T-shirt sizes. Right now we have a dev and test cluster size, and then a solid production level SKU. But once again, folks have said, hey, could I have a getting started SKU that I could use for some lighter weight production environments? Yes, you can. That's coming up in the next few weeks. And then a higher end plus SKU for those demanding enterprise type of requirements with that cross-region replication. Yes, you can have that as well. That's something that we're going to deliver on the roadmap later on this year. So trying to take the magic of Vault and the power of Vault and just give you kind of those more T-shirt sizes to give you a cluster size that's going to fit for your various workloads and requirements. The other thing here is that there's all that innovation and open source that I alluded to, and we'll be bringing that into HCP Vault over time. So again, that product team is really cranking on some type of pragmatic parity feature set with HCP Vault compared to Vault Enterprise and open source Vault. So the encryption as a service is one that the team is looking at, and there are many others you can probably guess for what may make their way into HCP Vault eventually. So we've had a lot of customer interest in this. Lufthansa is one of the launch customers that we had. Big European airline the idea of getting a Vault cluster in just a few minutes is really a game changer for them, and it could also be a game changer for you. So invite you all to take HCP Vault for a spin. And then kind of the last piece was of the keynote was previewing the next service to come to HCP. And this is HCP Packer. Maybe a bit of a surprise that this was the service that we launched. And for those of you that use Packer, it's a really handy way to build images. And these images are fantastic for compliance, for reducing variability in your data center environments, immutable infrastructure, all that good stuff. It's really a fantastic, tool for that image creation type of workflow. But when we looked at the market and looked to our customers, we really saw that there was a gap in the workflows that they had. And I'll just kind of read from the subheadline here, because I think that captures the essence of HCP Packer and the essence of the market problem we're trying to solve. HCP Packer is a new cloud service designed to bridge the gap between image creation and image deployment with image management workflows. So you've got this wonderful Packer mojo for the image creation running locally. And then you've got Terraform in many cases that's being used to actually deploy and manage that image over time. And we thought there's a really missing step that's there. And we talked to customers and they're using spreadsheets to keep track of the different images and configurations that are being used out there. And we said, this is really a problem that we should try and solve. And so HCP Packer is not Packer in the cloud. It's really a registry that's going to keep track of all those images that you're building and keep track of the metadata associated with those images. So this isn't at this point going to be hosting the images themselves, so there won't be a crazy amount of object storage that you use. It's really just going to be this metadata that describes the image that you can then have worked into Terraform and kind of get on with the job to be done. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me go to this next slide here. Whoop, there we go. And so this shows you how it could work, where you've got the Packer build happening there in your CI environment. It sends the data to the Packer registry in HCP about the nature of that image, and then your Terraform plan job can take that metadata and proceed to run the job. And then it's sort of this workflow and virtuous circle that kind of persists from there. So we think this will really help a lot of customers that are big users of Packer and big users of Terraform Cloud really be more effective, and lots of great governance and compliance stuff that you can do with all this. So just like Kyle, got a few calls to action for you. Sign up for a free HCP account. We've got $50 in free credits, so that's enough for a dev console cluster, a dev vault cluster. Play around with those. See what you think. We're also inviting folks to take a look at the HCP private beta program. I think we've got a couple hundred folks registered already. If you want to sign up and work with the product team to really kind of refine this offering, we'd love to have you join the programs. There's a web link that's there. And then we've got a whole slew of product managers and engineers that are working to make HCP the best place to run HashiCorp products, that 1 + 1 = 3 type of idea. So just work with your account team, and we'd be happy to make any introductions to product managers. They're really keen to understand your scenarios and workflows to how we can help. So with that, I'll turn it back to Brianna for the Q&A.
Thank you, Jared. Thanks, Jared and Kyle. So a few questions did come through, but if anyone has any additional ones, please feel free to put those in the chat. So Kyle, a few that came through during your presentation was, what is HashiCorp's observability platform?
So with this, I can wrap up kind of 2 different questions that are going on here.
Yeah.
So a lot of it really comes down to working with that partner ecosystem that I was talking about. Some of our partners like Datadog, like Splunk, because really what we're doing is creating a lot of these logs through the Terraform Cloud business tier with that offering, and allowing those audit logs to be able to be used as part of an observability platform, such as ones through Splunk or Datadog, or pretty much your platform of choice, really. And when it comes to like the work that we've done with Splunk, and it is a lot more than just a log forwarder, because there is a lot of things that come down to consuming those logs and then turning them into data that can actually be interpreted. We've also created a couple dashboards that can be interacted with, kind of samples, as well as a couple other nice integrations and tie-ins as well.
Perfect, thank you. And then there was another question. Do you view Terraform to be used for beyond infrastructure provisioning, specifically state changes? And then gave some examples of what they mean by state changes.
I mean, so really what it comes down to with Terraform is that we view it as a provisioning product. And, that includes some of the management side. However, that doesn't really preclude us from, integrating with other like configuration management tools. So really when it comes down to some of the examples here, it comes down to like your own usage through your company and how you want to use those things. Like, do you want to stop and start your EC2 instances? That might be better off for a configuration management tool. If you're going to, remove it and then recreate it every time, that's going to be something that works better off for Terraform and a provisioning tool. So it's going to kind of depend on the use case and the way that you want to see your workflows kind of work and exist.
Great, thank you. Another one that came through was, is there a plan to push for continuous enforcement of declarative desired state infrastructure to avoid drift in infrastructure configuration, something closer to GitOps?
I mean, there's nothing that stops you from doing that today. There's no like integrated process, but if you want to use, like if you're using Terraform Cloud or Terraform Enterprise, there's nothing from stopping you consuming the API side of things to continuously run plan operations, to work through it to see if there's any drift or anything that needs changed or managed. That's also going to be one of those tie-ins that maybe the Terraform Cloud run checks are going to maybe come into play a little more often. Can't dive into that too much since it's not a live or accessible product right now, but be on the lookout for that.
Great. And then there was, is there any updates on importing the existing infrastructure without manually defining the configuration?
Not really. Long story short, no. I mean, it's something that we're looking into. It's something that we're looking to address, but there's nothing to announce or really, update on right now.
Okay. And then is there a plan to have Terraform handle sensitive data so that it doesn't end up in state files?
No. So we consider state files to be sensitive in nature. So one of the things that we do with the remote backends and the other backends is recommend that those be not only transferred securely through something like an SSL type encryption, but also encrypted at rest. So that's one of the reasons why we made that available in the free tier of Terraform Cloud is because those are going to be sensitive. And we've done a lot of work to Terraform in the way that it manages the output from running some of these workflows and how it handles the sensitive nature. But I don't foresee any of that changing when it comes to the state file itself.
Thank you. So the last one that came through, they say they love the Learn guides, but they're kind of looking for something more of security best practices. For example, using SSM as opposed to SSH while connecting to AWS EC2 instances, while using Packer, et cetera. Is there any recommendations you have where they can find some best practices for that?
One of the things that we do try to build into the Learn guides is around those best practices. But you're right, there are some that need to be checked up on and re-verified over time. And I will certainly provide that feedback to the Learn team.